All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth, with Ben Jokes. Now, the pain and agony in Nigeria continues, and the whole world is beginning to react to the evil occurrences in Nigeria. First of all, many foreign organizations that deal with social welfare of people across the world have predicted that calamity awaits Nigeria in 2025 in terms of food insecurity. Imagine the condition of scarcity of food being worse than what we already have. And the predictions of these organizations are in tandem with the status quo in the areas that are responsible for the production of over 70% of our food in Nigeria. Number one is Benue. All the farmers in Benue are complaining. Most of them are now in IDP camps. They can't farm again. Next is northern farmers. You know the story. Bandits have taken over their farms. And even in the southwest, Association of Yoruba Farmers have come out many times to say that Fulanis have taken over their farms. And they have predicted that there will be famine in Yoruba land next year for that reason. But the recent evil that the whole world is talking about in Nigeria is the arrest and prosecution of children by the Tinubu administration. Earlier today, the Minister of Health went on air and dropped one of the biggest lies of the Tinubu regime so far. I don't know if the aim of that lie was to shift the attention of Nigerians and the world from Tinubu's crime against children. But the lie dropped and it was quite heavy. It got many Nigerians talking until northern groups dropped a communique for Tinubu. They called Tinubu an embarrassment to Nigeria. And they drew a battle line with him by ordering the immediate and unconditional release of the children he jailed. And I am happy to see this development between northerners and Tinubu because I know it will lead to the eventual fall of the APC. Before I show you details of that lie by the Minister of Health and the bad blood between Tinubu and northern Nigeria, let me quickly show you these videos.
Well, according to Nelson Mandela, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul other than the way it treats its children. Today, the soul of our nation is on trial because the entire world is watching or was watching and is actually watching. Now, there cannot be any pretension by the judge, by the court, and by the entire world that those persons that we saw in those visuals are not children below the age of 18. And apart from that, there can also be no doubt that they are actually living they were living in squalid condition, and they are actually in very, serious condition as we speak in terms of their health, highly malnourished, seriously disheveled. And where do we start, and how did we get here? Now, how would children in the first place, because certain things can appear quite ludicrous, when you think that children in our country can now take up arms to make our president to be afraid, to now, and then in certain places, particularly in northern Nigeria, specifically in Kano, Kaduna, and all that, and then you ship them to Abuja, even though the Administration of Criminal Justice House, for exceptional reasons, would allow you for security reasons to do such a thing. We treat our own citizens as if they are enemies, whereas prisoners of war cannot be treated worse than the way the conditions and the visuals and pictures we've seen concerning those children. So you asked me a personal question, and I'll tell you that we have a problem in this country, and the problem is that persons in public service appear to glorify the fact that we are a third world country, and they enjoy keeping us in that third world state. Because whereas we have every opportunity to treat ourselves right, we take delight in that. So what we have seen in course of this trial today, by reason of some persons who are trying to be politically correct, whether it is the court or the prosecutor, you see, it's a problem. I'm amazed and shocked to realize that even the judge could not. There is no political correctness here. This is our country. This is the soul of our country on trial here. The judge should be able to look at those children and say, there is a problem. Prosecutor, are you telling me that these children are fit for trial? I mean, he should have convinced himself that first they were fit for trial trial before the trial could go on. And when there were some of them that were clearly children and some of them were fainting and on the point of dying, the judge had the inherent powers to direct that, please, trial is not going on. I hereby order that medical treatment, medical facilities, and adequate provision according to the provisions of the Constitution be given to them immediately. He directs it. But there is this problem with us, as if there is this competition for us to please somebody against the simple provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, of the provisions of the Child Rights Act. So this is an opportunity for us to put ourselves on trial, and whether we want to continue to treat ourselves as the enemies, as our own enemies, as we have seen today in that trial.
You heard that. A very passionate take there by Frank Tete. And it's a shame what this country has become under the APC. The soul of this country is being snatched away by these guys. Even the Inspector General of Police, Egbetokun, came out and said the fainting of the children in court was scripted. He said they were only play acting to make the government look bad. But that's not even the point. The question is, what were children doing in court in the first place? Why were they being arraigned? We have not seen bandits and Fulani headsmen being arraigned in court under this regime. Why children? According to the Zamfara state governor, he said the bandits that they arrested and handed over to the government for prosecution were freed by the Tinubu regime. But here are children being arraigned. And you may want to ask, who are even the lawyers, the sons that will represent government against these children? We need to see the faces of such monsters. Well, we have found one. One of the counsels to the federal government on this children prosecution matter was obviously drunk while speaking in this video. So drunk that one of the lawyers behind him could not hold back his laughter. First of all, let's take another look at the children that were arraigned. This is a picture of the children that were arraigned. Now, let's listen to what probably a senior advocate of Nigeria said about the children in this picture.
These boys that we brought to the court today, all of them are adults. Most of them are married men. None of them is a minor. Some of them are university graduates. These boys were arrested in Kaduna and Zaria. Imagine the level we find ourselves now. Do you know how much it costs us to be at this level of a democracy in this country? These young boys are trying to destabilize Nigeria using the Russian flags and other countries, calling on the military to remove our president. Is it fair to even remove the state governors that they don't want democracy again? If you don't like democracy, are we forcing you? You go back home and sit. Everybody is enjoying their fundamental rights. Nobody is abusing their rights. Everybody is enjoying free movement, and everything's are moving fine in the country. These boys only for no reason. They started protests, violent protests with the flags, foreign flags, Russian flags. Haba. Is that what we want in this country? Don't mind the Defense Council. They will always say something to tarnish the name of Nigerian police. It's not true.
You heard that. That was Barrister Ezekiel Rimazonte, one of the counsels to the federal government on this children prosecution matter. And clearly, that lawyer's brain has been damaged by alcohol and drugs. I wonder how some of these guys made it out of universities and out of law schools. It shows clearly the decay in our systems. For me, that man sounded like an illiterate, a very senseless one at that. He said everything was going well in this country, everything is going well in this country, and there was absolutely no problem, and then the boys just began protesting. You have to be a complete moron to say that Nigerians who protested in August did it out of nothing, to say that everything is fine in Nigeria. Yes, I know he is being paid to do his job, but his foolishness is not debatable. Now, let us look at those updates that have become the major talking points in the Nigerian political media space. First of all, that big lie by the Minister of Health that got Nigerians talking. And next, we'll be looking at that communique from northern groups where they said that Tinubu is an embarrassment to Nigeria, and they drew the battle line by saying that he must release the children he detained unconditionally. Let's start by taking that heavy lie from the Minister of Health. Look at how the papers reported it. Some African leaders also visit Nigeria for medical care. Health Minister Pate defends politicians going abroad for treatment, reporters. The coordinating minister for health and social welfare, Muhammad Ali Pate, has claimed that some leaders in Africa do visit the country for their medical treatment. Pate mentioned that the elite had the right to choose where to go on medical tourism. The minister argued that the country did not operate a communist system of government which would constrain the choices of individuals, noting that other African leaders sought medical care in Nigeria. He noted that the country had well-designed, well-structured, properly equipped health facilities in Nigeria, but that some had built the narrative that the healthcare system didn't work. The narrative easily gets built that we don't have anything here, as if we want to lose respect for ourselves. If I tell you there are other senior leaders from other African countries coming here for medical care, would you believe that? Don't conflict with the quality of our healthcare and what it has to offer, and the choices that individuals are allowed to make for various reasons. Tourism is something that everybody has a right to choose wherever they want to go. You cannot constrain people. We are not a communist system where you say, oh, everybody has to be tied. I think there are facilities that are well designed, well structured, properly equipped, and that they have health workers, professionals, doctors, surgeons, pharmacists, nurses that are working very hard to provide those services. Oftentimes, people make choices, but other times, people build on the narrative that nothing works or nothing is good in Nigeria, he said. You heard him. So we have well-equipped facilities in Nigeria with good doctors and all. And you, Muhammad Ali Pate, you don't treat yourself in this country. Your principal, Tinubu, if he coughs, he jets out of this country. So what are all those facilities for? And please tell us, who are those leaders that come to Nigeria for treatment? What kind of lie do these people lie like this? Is that person insane? Somebody will be sick. He will now carry his jet and start flying into Nigeria for treatment. That person must be mad. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Abu Twins here says, so other countries are coming to Nigeria for medical care, and our leaders are going to another country for the same medical care. What a country. That is it. How do you explain this lie? And Johnson here says, which hospital in Nigeria do they use to visit, sir? Is it UCH Ibadan, where electricity used to be rationed, or which hospitals? Just name any of the government medical facilities those African leaders used to visit that warrant your defense for the medical tourism of the politicians. That is it. These people are just crazy. And this tweet here says, shameless liar. He's a shameless liar. And Ola Abraham says, is it UCH or LASU? Tell us. Is it University College Hospital Ibadan or Lagos State University that other leaders visit? And Isaac Okoli here says, yes, at Agbo Jedi General Hospital. It has to be Agbo Jedi General Hospital. What kind of lie is this? And Friday here says, sir, can you give names? So you should lead by receiving your treatment here in Nigeria. Stop giving Nigerians lamba. Stop giving us lies. We are not your children. Now, let us look at that communique from the northern groups, calling Tinubu an embarrassment and telling him that he must release those children unconditionally. Look at how the papers reported it. Northern Coalition condemns Tinubu government over underage children's detention, demands immediate release, reporters. The coalition of northern groups has condemned the detention of minors for participating in protest against hunger and bad governance, demanding their immediate release. In a statement signed by the Coalition of Northern Governor National Coordinator Jamilu Aliu Charanchi on Saturday and obtained by reporters, he said numerous children under 18 had been held in custody for over 90 days before their arraignment in an Abuja High Court, where 4 collapsed from hunger and lack of medical care. The statement reads, "The coalition of northern groups has observed that a number of Nigerians, sadly many minors below the age of 18, have been detained for over 90 days before their arraignment in an Abuja High Court on Friday for exercising their constitutional rights in a protest against hunger and bad governance. It was learnt that at least 4 of the children collapsed in the courtroom during the arraignment as a result of hunger and absence of medical care while in custody. Unfortunately, the detention and arraignment of those frail, malnourished, and helpless children have exposed the government as a desperate entity that is determined to demarket and embarrass Nigeria before the international community while presenting its credentials for medals in gross inhumanity. The continued detention and mistreatment of these minors is a gross violation of their basic rights, including the rights to freedom of expression and assembly. Coalition of Northern Groups strongly condemns this abuse of power and the blatant disregard for the welfare and dignity of young citizens. The Coalition of Northern Groups called for the immediate and unconditional release of all minors detained and urged the government to adopt dialogue and constructive engagement over intimidation. The group also appealed to civil society organizations to provide humanitarian aid to these detained children, asserting the protection of children is non-negotiable, and we implore the authorities to treat these young citizens with the compassion and respect they deserve. Anyway, let's see how far the northern groups are willing to go with these threats. We warned APC have no good in them. We were all supposed to come together as a nation and kick these guys out of power last year. But some of these groups complaining today thought it was better to collect money to help APC rig. Others felt it was an obligation or duty to their religion to vote Muslim ticket. Now look at where we are. APC has destroyed everything, jailing children. These are the same people whose policies have kept hundreds of thousands of children out of school. Hunger, malnourishment everywhere. IDP camps scattered all over Nigeria. Now look at what they are doing. Disgracing Nigeria. They have not arraigned bandits. They have not arraigned a single Fulani headsman. Even the only set of Fulanis that were arraigned in Southwest, they freed them. That same day, they allowed them to go. And now you are arraigning children. This is what the APC stands for. They have come to kill, to steal, and to destroy, to cause pain to every section of the society. The other day, Wike came up and said that all the beggars in Abuja, he's going to arrest all of them if they don't leave, if they don't vanish. Some people may argue that, okay, he wants to sanitize the city. Is that the next thing to do? If they are Nigerians and they are beggars, probably they are blind or something, what you should do is to say, okay, we are going to move these guys to a facility where they can be taken care of. That is the issue. Not that you be treating citizens as if we are all, in a competition and you have won that competition by being somewhere. So others are nobodies. You can treat them anyhow. No, we all have rights to the nation's wealth. So that same wealth must be used for the people of the nation. Look at the other day, Akpabio was complaining on the floor of the Senate that why did Senator Ireti use government money to build up shops that were razed down by fire? The lady said, we built these shops with government money and we asked the owners of these shops to come and take back their shops, continue their economic activities, and they'll be paying the government gradually. Akpabio said, how can you use government money to do that? It took Senator Natasha to correct him that government money belongs to the people. And they are now using it to help the people to get back on their feet because they lost their shops. What are you saying? And the man was shamed there on the floor of the Senate. But this is the APC. I don't expect anything less. They have come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And that is why I keep telling Nigerians that for us to have a nation at all in the near future, we must come together and kick the APC out of power. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. We una go like. Why? Because now because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go away.